So as infection numbers continue to soar around the world, causing major disruption, at what point should the world start living with the virus? Dr. Bharat Pankania is an expert in infectious disease control at the University of Exeter Medical School. He joins us live from the city of Bath by Skype. Thanks very much for being with us. So in the US, for instance, the isolation period, people who've been in contact with someone who has COVID has been reduced down to 5 days, and in the UK it's gone from 10 to 7 with testing. With these large numbers of cases now, do you think that in the end people will get rid of that kind of any need for isolation for the contacts of people who have COVID?
Well, that is one thought, in that once you have got sufficient immunity, either from immunization or having had the natural infection, you could surmise that further exposures is not going to make you seriously ill. And if that is the case, you could then say, well, the control measures are down now, be careful of the extra vulnerable and people who may become seriously ill, but on the other hand, relax with the other measures that we currently have in place.
And in terms of the counts, I mean, we talk about these enormous numbers. Are they now sort of becoming less relevant? And should the metric be how many people are ending up in hospital or dying?
I think so, because Omicron is so infectious that it is going through as a pulse through the global population. And what will happen is it will go through and then it will plateau and come down again. And what we really need to now focus on is, does Omicron result in deaths, hospitalizations, serious illness? And if that is not the case, we feel that it's time to relax. At the moment, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we will know better. But at the moment, we don't know whether Omicron is causing serious illness in the older age group or not. That time is coming soon.
Now, much of the focus from the US, the UK, Europe has been on vaccinations. Without higher vaccination rates around the world, how much protection will there be from future new variants?
Unfortunately, very little. And where variants can arise in any place at any time. However, on a bigger scale, what are the probabilities? And the probabilities are, wherever you have a population where you have runaway, uncontrolled infection, especially in immune-suppressed people, then a variant of concern can arise. And therefore, I say, and I've been saying this for over a year, it's no good. European nations, Israel, immunizing and then immunizing and then immunizing again. What we need to do is immunize simultaneously. The key word is simultaneously, all across the world. That way we suppress infections everywhere, and that way, hopefully, we reduce the chances of a variant of concern arising.
Explain to us how it differs. I mean, if someone has had Omicron or another variant of COVID, and they're not vaccinated, and then you compare them with someone who's vaccinated but hasn't necessarily had COVID, what is the kind of immune response, and is it different?
No, the immune response is the same. The trouble is that when you have wild infection, you may not make consistent or persistent good immunity for protection against future infections. So what a vaccine does is it's immunizing you and preventing you from getting serious illness in a calm period. In other words, it's not giving you the disease itself. But the immune response in both the populations, immunized or not immunized, is the same.
So just briefly, does that mean that if Omicron continues to spread around the world, you could end up kind of reaching the population who either aren't vaccinated because they choose not to be or because the vaccines aren't available to them, and that actually this kind of has an effect on the way the virus spreads around the world, or the way it's kind of perhaps evolves to being something less serious?
Indeed. So what will happen, as has happened in South Africa, they've had repeated exposures to the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and therefore you could say biologically they're essentially a immunized population via the infection route. And that's fine. That will inevitably happen. But what we want to do is save lives and immunize as many as possible before they get caught by the wild virus.
Dr. Bharat Pankania, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.